Graphics in gaming has always been a contentious talking point. Some people swear by gameplay and think that high fidelity graphics don't matter at all, whereas others will turn up their nose at any game that doesn't have the latest realistic graphics tech. However, since the late 90s, we've seen a general trend towards the biggest games using the most realistic graphical style possible, given the technology available. Every time a new title came out, you would swear that video game graphics could never get any better, and then they do. But can there be a point where a game's graphics are too good? What if there was a game that was almost indistinguishable from real life, and people argue over whether it was faked with real footage? This is a game called UnRecord. It's a tactical shooter where you play from a bodycam perspective as you fight your way through abandoned buildings. So basically the average day out for anyone in Birmingham, but instead of using a medieval looking ass weapon,
Birmingham is a fucking shithole! I fucking hate it! It's full of dick!
You've got a pistol. Now, you're probably thinking this is some kind of experiment or marketing stunt made by a huge AAA game studio with years of experience under their belt. Nope, it was made in Unreal Engine 5 by a few people in a few months. I find it so cool that people can just make things now. I mean, anyone with a bit of programming experience and money for assets could basically make this if they wanted to, and we're already seeing people trying to recreate this game to see how they did it. Now, we've been able to have these kind of photorealistic graphics for quite a long time, provided that they were pre-rendered, but now with huge advances in the Unreal Engine tech, even small developers can use these photorealistic visuals in real time, which is pretty insane to be honest. Basically anyone can put together a scene using high quality assets or photo scans from Quixel Megascans, then they can quickly light it using the Lumen lighting engine, and then it will even run decently as Nanite will automatically generate lower poly models for the scene when the game actually runs. It kind of reminds me of Kane Pixel's first Backrooms video, although that was in Blender instead. Just like this game, when that video first dropped, I was entirely convinced that it was real footage shot on location until something happened that obviously couldn't happen in real life. And I think having this sort of low quality effect like a VHS filter, or in this case an old body cam fisheye look, it can really lend itself to making the game look more realistic, as when you're watching a real video you would expect to see some human imperfections in the camera and body movements. They've also added some pretty intense auto exposure, which I think is really cool because it both makes it look worse, but also more realistic, as if it was filmed on a GoPro or something. One thing that I think a lot of other people have neglected to mention is, you know, the actual game. Focusing too much on realism in this way could really harm the overall game in my opinion. I don't know how good the gunplay will be, given that it could be pretty hard to aim with all the animations and screen effects that they've got going on. And with this I think the devs will have to toe a fine line between making it realistic and, you know, making it fun. If the final game has you manually loading every bullet into the mag and it looks and sounds as if it was recorded on a Nokia brick from 2003, it probably won't be a good time. Speaking from experience of developing my own game, making a good looking prototype and getting a game actually finished for release are two entirely different things. There is so much complexity that goes into making a game like this, and it's very ambitious given the team's size and experience. And for it to be enjoyable to play after the first 5 minutes of novelty factor wears off, could well be where this game might fall down if the devs focus too much on the visuals and neglect the story, gameplay and sound. Others online have been concerned about UnRecord's levels of realism as well, although for a different reason. Many people think having this level of realistic visuals could be uncomfortable to play and should be regulated for younger players. I can definitely understand this viewpoint, purely because it looks so real and you're shooting human targets in a realistic situation. I mean, it could easily be mistaken for real leaked police footage at first glance. And especially for kids who aren't going to notice the subtle inaccuracies, and the visuals for them are really going to be indistinguishable from real life. With the advances we've seen in AI as well... don't worry, I'm not going to become an AI bro. Although, you know what would be a good idea? letting ChatGPT make all my financial decisions. With the advances in AI that we've recently seen as well, having realistic generated responses from the enemy characters could definitely make this game much more uncomfortable for people to play, and I imagine that's what might happen in the future. So I definitely understand where people are coming from with that, and it's a slippery slope with what could happen in the future. Overall though, I think this game could be really promising if the devs carry on with what they're doing, and I just wanted to talk about this because it looks really impressive and the discourse around it was pretty interesting. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this game though. I make videos about topical gaming news as well as older classics, so if that sounds like your thing, then subscribe. So yeah, bye.